everyone, welcome back to Closing Time Kitchen, where we simplify real estate closings one recipe at a time. And today we are making one of the easiest desserts in the world, an affogato. It's literally vanilla gelato or ice cream with a shot of espresso. Simple, right? So, which is exactly why it's the perfect recipe for today's topic. And that is, how does a title company verify who actually has the legal authority to sign closing documents when the property isn't owned by an individual? Because just like an affogato only needs a few ingredients, but they have to be the right ingredients. And a real estate closing only works when the right person signs. So here's what you're going to need to make this recipe. You're gonna need an espresso maker. If you don't have one of these, you can just get a shot of espresso. You're going to need 1 or 2 scoops of gelato or vanilla ice cream. I'm doing a no sugar added ice cream coffee cup. If you would like, you can do a little Kahlua or Frangelico or Amaretto. If you like, you can also leave this out. And if you'd like to top it with some chocolate covered espresso beans, we have a few of those, and an ice cream scoop. So go grab your ingredients and we'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you have all of your ingredients. And while we are talking about what we need to verify and who signs what, we are going to just put a scoop or 2 of your gelato or your ice cream into the cup. And you're going to think of this as the property owner. At first glance, it looks very simple, right? Although sometimes it's hard to get the ice cream or the gelato out. But what if the owner on the title is not John Smith? What if it is the Smith Family Trust? Or what if it's ABC Holdings or Main Street Investments? Now we have a whole different question. Not who owns the property, but who has the authority to sign for the owner? So if it's an LLC, which is one of the most common ones that we get, if the property is owned by an LLC, we don't automatically assume that whose ever name is on the LLC is the one that can sign. We need to review a couple of documents. We need to review the articles of organization or the operating agreement. Is it a member or manager owned LLC? A certificate of authority if required. So the key question is the LLC a member managed or a manager managed LLC? Because they're very different. So they're the 2 questions that we're going to ask first. So we have our ice cream in here. We're going to make our espresso. There we go. I'm just going to put a cup under here for now to make the espresso. So while that starts up, we will talk about how we figure this out. In a member managed LLC, only the manager or someone specifically authorized can sign. So if Bob owns 50% of the company, but isn't the designated manager, or ownership alone may not be enough. So we have to figure out who's the person that's authorized to sign. Now, if it's a corporation, the corporation doesn't sign the documents. So what we typically ask for are articles of incorporation, corporate bylaws, corporate resolutions, the secretary certificates, evidence of officer authority. The goal is to verify that the person who is signing has been authorized by the corporation. So think of this espresso as authority. Without it, nothing's going to happen to the dessert. So if we don't know who is authorized to sign, we can't have the papers signed by just anybody in the corporation. There is another one that is very common, and it is a trust. Trusts are where people get very confused. If a title is vested in a trust, the trust itself doesn't physically sign the documents. The trustee signs the documents. But how do we know who the trustee is? So we need to first verify the existence of the trust, identify the trustee and the trustee's authority to act. Depending on the state, of whatever the requirements are per the state, we might ask you for the trust agreement, a certificate of abstract of the trust, trustee affidavits, and our one question is the simplest question of all. Does this trustee currently have the authority to sell, mortgage, or transfer the property? So they are the three different entities that we usually run into. So we're gonna pour this espresso on top of this ice cream and we'll be right back. Everyone, welcome back. We're gonna pour this over. And you might be asking yourself, why does the title company care about who signs the documents? So just imagine you're at, you do a closing and you discover afterwards that the person who signed the documents never had the authority to do that. The deed could be challenged, the mortgage could be challenged, the transaction is going to become a legal mess. So before documents are signed, title companies verify authority to help ensure the transaction is legally enforceable. It protects the buyer, it protects the seller, it protects the mortgage company, it protects the title company. So now comes the best part. We, if you'd like, you can, at this time you can add your Kahlua or whatever you like, or you could put in a little espresso bean. But this is, the hot espresso just transformed this gelato or ice cream into an amazing dessert. Just like the signing authority transfers a stack of documents into a legally binding transaction. So remember, when an individual owns the property, the title company verifies the individual. If it's an LLC that owns the company, the title company verifies who is legally able to sign the documents for the LLC, the corporation, or a trust. So we just want to make sure that whoever is signing has legal authority, and just like an affogato, sometimes the simplest looking things have the most important ingredients. I am Denise with Closing Time Kitchen. Make sure you subscribe because you don't want to miss an episode, and I will see you next time. And don't forget, it's always sweet at closing time. Have a great week.